Sentinel mindset.
What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about a very specific topic around executive protection. You're going to see a video today of an individual that was violently pushed as they were escorting their VIP. Welcome to the show. My name is Constantine. I have with me the amazing Steve Summerville. How are you doing today?
How you doing? I'm doing great, Constantine. How are you doing?
Amazing, man. And
Good.
As always, I love this portion of the show where we get to dissect videos and, just kind of see, is this the right thing to do?
And we get to offer our opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
So, Steve, I'm going to show this video. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it or not, but I'm going to show you this video, and then we'll maybe watch it 2 or 3 times. It's a very short clip.
It is. Don't blink.
Yeah, okay. All right, here we go. Let's do it up. For those listening, Ivanka Trump is walking with her husband. An individual approaches Ivanka Trump, and you can see...
He is physically pushed back away from the talent, Ms. Trump.
That's right. Now, Ivanka Trump, and let's play this one more time. Just one more time, okay? Right. Walking. Gentleman pushes his arm in the arm. Gives him a super hard push.
He does.
Okay.
If you listen to that carefully, from the time of a push, you actually hear a bit of a thud or a thump from when the subject actually hits the ground.
Right.
It's a bit of a delay, which indicate he probably was pushed back a fair distance.
Yes. Now, Steve, typically speaking, I read somewhere that on Trump's last term, he made sure that when he left as president, that his entire family would be protected by Secret Service.
It generally would be. I've actually had dealings with Secret Service in my career before dealing with the Clintons, actually.
Okay.
Post-presidency. And, they're always around. That seems to be a designated requirement.
Right.
But I don't see Secret Service, what would appear to be in this video. That's surprising.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not suggesting for a sec. We don't know really whether this gentleman is a representative of the Secret Service or not.
Right.
But we can certainly speak about his actions.
Absolutely.
And what would be expected or responsible or perhaps appropriate within this sort of executive protection process.
Okay, no, good. Now, for everybody listening, executive protection, also known as close protection, is an extension of your security license.
Right.
Right?
It is in Ontario.
Is in Ontario, exactly. And again, one of the determined factors here is that this person, for the purposes of watching this, I'm going to just say I don't see Secret Service doing this.
I don't know. And the reason I'm saying that is
Yes.
depends on what we didn't see in camera. Right? We have no idea what was pushed back.
Okay.
I have no idea what the profile behavior was of that person to generate
Okay.
the need to push a person back, if any at all.
Yes.
And I'm trying to be a balance for our viewers to try to suggest that it's a basis of what you may not see a person respond to. If a person, I don't know, this paparazzi, I don't know if it's an autograph seeker, I don't know if this was a person that perceivably created a risk for Ms. Trump.
Yes.
And that would be perhaps a requirement to create distance between you and obviously the person approaching your talent.
Right.
But here, one thing that is surprising, Universal, I didn't hear any verbiage. I did not hear the person with the shirt there indicating, the light blue shirt saying, hey, get back, create some distance, stand back, please.
Right.
Nothing. It was a silent push. And you could even hear a bit of shock. I heard a couple of spectators go, oh,
Yes.
that's sort of shock and awe perception.
So, Steve, we're going to watch this one more time, and I'm going to bring you to something that we hear in the executive protection world is get your target or your VIP out of the X, right?
Yeah.
The hot spot. So
Quickly.
If you're spending time, pushing someone off, for example, and his back turns, we'll look at this again. So he's standing behind about a couple of feet. He has his hand, he pushes on someone. Someone puts his hand back on him. And there's a moment that he pushed him off. Now, the gentleman fell back. He fell back.
He did.
Now, what would have happened if that man retaliated? And now this is where everything changes. Now you just pushed me, and now you've assaulted me. Like, I'm going to kick your ass.
At times you would expect some form of assertive or aggressive response. Also in the video, though, it's just a person just in the forefront who picks up Ms. Trump.
Yes.
Co-assist her get into the vehicle. So it wasn't a singular EP agent or a singular security professional, if you will.
Right.
There was also a person on the other side that appeared, it was in a suit, appeared to be on a cell phone, appeared to be monitoring the situation, didn't really have any other response. I don't even know if that was part of the security detail working with Ms. Trump at the time, but it didn't show any significant concern. But Ms. Trump looked over her shoulder, did you notice? Didn't seem to really show much concern or anxiety associated to it, just sort of responding to the sound, and just turned her head and casually walked towards her vehicle. I did not notice any rush towards the vehicle.
Yes.
or a need to cover the talent or cover Ms. Trump in terms of there was any projected threat. I didn't notice that, if that was the case.
Okay. Well, since the U.S., Steve, is the land of lawsuits, when something like this happens, right? And there's always the what if. So that thud sounded heavy on the audio.
It did.
Yeah. And if he had fallen back and cracked his head, as an example, and sustained bodily injury, based on what we know just for Ontario law, if this had taken place in Ontario, that happened on Yorkville.
Right.
We've had our amazing, friend of the show, David.
Chelnut.
Yeah, exactly. Prosecuting lawyer. Yeah.
All right. Well, you have to set a standard that's being broached. You just can't indiscreetly or indiscriminately, I should say, to just to push you and shove you. I have to try to generate some compliance. I would have to, unless there's a real projected threat, if I'm coming at you with a weapon, you will still expect some sort of verbiage to come out of the EP agent who didn't hear anything. Mm-hmm. But no, what I'm getting at right here, I'll be very candid, is the fact I'd be stand back, get back, create some distance. If you don't comply, maybe there might be a requirement to create some distance between you. But there was no need to offer immediate level of protection. It would appear that the push was excessive. It was very overt. And is that necessary? Is it reasonable? Those are the questions that you ask in an Ontario court of law.
For sure. And based on what you just saw, an individual that it looks like he is more, if anything, a potential gawker or paparazzi or a fan.
Right.
Based on that, is what that happened there, Steve, would you say that's warranted just based on that alone? And I know it's difficult because we don't have any context.
Yeah, you've nailed it. I'm asked many times, what's in your opinion? This is like a 4 or 5 second video clip?
Yeah.
We have no idea what led up to it, where she was coming from, if there was any previous interaction. Maybe there was some communications with his EP agent prior to not approach the talent, and maybe that was breached, or maybe there's a couple of incidences. Yeah, I'm not suggesting that would automatically perhaps, validate what this particular agent did, but maybe there's a reason for it. And it's kind of hard to give any reasonable response to something we don't know, but just in context of a few second video, sure, I would have to suggest that was probably inappropriate, perhaps unreasonable, unnecessary. But there could be another part of this equation that we have no idea about. We only saw a segment, perhaps, of an incident that may not clearly articulate what it was his agent was dealing with or perceived, or his narrative would have been, if asked, in terms of what he took, the actions he took.
Okay, that's good.
And for those,
fair. No, 100% fair. And again, for those of you listening, because I know someone commented before in the past, and we love the comments, but what gives us the right to comment? Well, first of all, let me just throw this out. Steve is an expert witness in Canada. He has been on hundreds of cases, retained by legal to speak to these things. Steve's background is also with the Toronto Police Service as a staff sergeant, as well an instructor for many of the police officers. So Steve is very, very clued into a lot of the laws and has a program called Stay Safe that basically teaches use of force. So whenever we are providing context and information, specifically coming from Steve, it's coming from a professional level of experience.
Well, I appreciate the shameless self-promotion. Thank you for that. Yeah. But in this context, as an expert witness, I was looking at that. It'd be difficult to opine. I'd probably be chastised or criticized in a courtroom by providing an expert opinion based on limits as what we see. There'd be more information that I would request. And usually there's a bit of a rider you put out there. You say it was subject to additional information. My opinion is subject to change. But here, just on the fold of this, I didn't hear any verbal. We do teach security officers, we do teach law enforcement officers, correctional officers to, even if you apply force, to maintain that verbiage, the explanation, to give a person a chance to comply. You have to state the expectation. You require distance. You're creating risk. I've asked you to stay back, sir or ma'am. I have no idea what that person would have been.
Okay.
And I will intervene. I will take action if you don't. I heard nothing like that. And the reason there might be a defense why that did not occur is perhaps this had already been stated.
Okay, perfect. So this is why I love maybe theater, is because let's pretend there was context here. So let's pretend, Steve, that this individual in the video is a stalker. He's an actual stalker, and he does this every single time he comes out. He tries to catch in and puts his hands on people, and he's been known to get close. Would then, in this situation, for example, would that be warranted if we knew this?
Well, perhaps it could be, and I guess perhaps it's not really a definitive response.
Yes.
I'd never get hooked into that. It's easy to get trapped into providing an opinion depending on the needs of the person asking the question. I'm not suggesting
no, for sure.
But certainly in this context, my issues, it make me cringe a little bit. only in the sense of that even if this was reasonable, necessary, and lawfully placed, if you will, it would have been a lot easier for the officer to articulate his actions, to create the sense of the necessity of to do it right now. I told you, step back, create distance. There was a silent movie, and that's where it raises the ponder, the inquiries of saying, what were you thinking, what were you doing, and did you give this person a chance to comply?
Okay. No, Steve, I actually like that. And to me, like, what from the little snippet of what we see here, it's just a reminder that, the public, the general public, this is what they're seeing. So if we can learn one small thing there is remember that whatever you do, there's a strong chance it will be captured in public eye and you will face public scrutiny based on what they see and maybe not seeing the full picture. So be aware that carry yourself as if a camera's on you 24/7.
Well, you're right. Less than 24 hours ago, as you know, we just provided a training session for actually our team and another third-party security team here in Toronto at a center that features live events as a licensed establishment. I won't mention the name of the venue on this particular podcast, but we talked about the issues of ejection. We talked about the issues of engagement, to restrain a person, detain a person, to lawfully intervene to protect people. We talked about the legislation in this province that drives the need for you to show a duty of care. We talked about the Occupied Liability Act. There's certain times under the Liquor License Act and the Trespass to Property Act where you might be duty-bound to remove a person. But it's the optics is how you do that. Keep in mind there's many people who are watching you, and the cell phones come out that somewhat generates evidence.
Okay.
And we told our licensed guards in front of a manager of a well-established venue, a world-class venue in Toronto, that the necessity to speak and communicate and give people options, we call it creating those witnesses, those positive witnesses who can speak to what you did, what you were thinking, the options you gave a person long before I placed the hands.
Okay.
If that person was in that class, this person did not apply that training.
Okay. Steve, this is good, and I think it's always great to have context for these things.
Yeah.
On our next episode, we're going to be reviewing an individual working at I think it was a baseball stadium, who took matters into his own hands and went as far as taking his belt off. We won't say anything more around that, but Steve, any closing words to this?
No. Stay an open mind, always inquire, but always take a look at even a tipping point of a scenario. We stated in our training, at no point of physical interaction with a member of the public should ever become silent, and it's just to mitigate or create these questions that right now that you're posing. If this person to continue some contextual form of communication, likely this video will not be coming under review or subject to this podcast.
Okay, amazing. Steve, thank you so much for your context on this.
And in closing, my friend, stay safe.
Stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Cheers.
Thank you for joining me in today's podcast. This podcast was created for protectors in the fields of law enforcement, executive protection, security, and anyone looking to level up their mindset. If you are learning from this podcast and you're enjoying it, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sentinel Mindset. That's a zero-cost way to support us. In addition, please subscribe to the podcast both on Spotify and Apple. And on both Spotify and Apple, you can leave us up to a 5-star review. If you have questions for me or comments about the podcast or guests you would like me to consider on the Sentinel Mindset, please post all comments on YouTube. I do read all the comments. Please also check out our sponsors, thearenatoronto.com. The Arena was created to help all those in the fields of law enforcement, security, and all that achieve their fitness goals. I want to thank our producer, Matthew Doyle, and creative supports, Jaslyn Singh, who help me with this podcast every week. We value your feedback and are here to support you. Tune into the Sentinel Mindset every week where we look in the mirror to make real changes and explore what it takes to achieve greatness in your craft.
This podcast is brought to you by Executive Protection Lifestyle Canada. Make sure to drop by next week and don't forget to subscribe.